Hey guys, Stony here, bringing you a brand new Diablo 3 build guide for the Witch Doctor for Season 20. Now this is a good one, guys. This is a build designed to run in groups, specifically in a group with a support monk. The idea is that you kind of focus on the damage, let the monk kind of keep you healthy and safe, while you just delete stuff, and man, does it do some damage. It's a lot of fun to play. It's a group only build though, guys. It's definitely not one I would run solo. But yeah, if you're running with some friends, especially if you got somebody that's got it's like a support monk, it's really good. It's going to be really good with that. All right, well let's go over some of the gear, guys. We're running the new Mundunugu set for the Witch Doctor for Season 20. This one's really cool, guys. It uses Spirit Barrage to deal damage. And essentially the way we use that Spirit Barrage mechanic is we use this Spirit is Willing rune, and that allows us to kind of more precisely control how we deliver the damage that accumulates with Spirit Barrage. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it, guys. I've got I'll go over some of the gameplay and kind of explain how to play the build after I go over the gear and the skills and stuff. So yeah, but we're running the Mundunugu set, and then we're running the Lakumba's Ornament Bracers. That's going to give us a lot of our toughness there. This build is actually pretty tanky. You do need the support monk to stay alive. But you can stay alive for a little while without him. It's just really tough to like consistently tank damage. And if the support monk dies for whatever reason, you kind of have to change your play style up. You don't sit in the middle of the packs anymore. You kind of dance around them a little bit more. But it's not super duper squishy. The way I've got it built here is it's still pretty tough. But yeah, a lot of the toughness actually comes from the Lakumba's Ornament. When you're hitting that soul harvest, that's going to give you those stacks, and then each of those stacks, which you get a total of 10 because you're using the Sacred Harvester, is going to give you a 6% damage reduction, right? So that's 60% damage reduction right there. It's a lot. The other big source of damage reduction on this is obviously from the 4-piece set bonus on the Mundunugu set. So that's going to give us 60% damage reduction whenever we enter the Spirit Realm, which is our Spirit Walk. So, yep. Yeah, so for the weapons, we said we use the Sacred Harvester. This is, the best in slot for this build. You could run the Barber. You can swap these two out, guys. But it's a little easier to get a good Sacred Harvester because it doesn't have that legendary affix that you have to roll well like on the Barber. Yeah, and then we were using the Gazing Demise for our mojo here, and yeah, that one's going to give us additional damage for the Spirit Barrage, So yeah, and then we got the Witching Hour belt, and we're running this. We like attack speed on this build, guys, and that's one of the good things about this belt. Also, the crit damage. It's really nice. So yeah, put a Witching Hour on this one. If you don't have one, you can run whatever you got, but a Witching Hour is best in slot here. So we're running the Endless Walk set. That's the Compass Rose Ring and the Traveler's Pledge Amulet. And then we're running the Convention of Elements as well. Now, this is really huge. I like that we can run these together. 2 big damage multipliers. When you're standing still with the Endless Walk set, you deal 100% additional damage. And then on Convention of Elements, when you're, in this case, when your cold rotation happens on your Convention of Elements, you're dealing an additional 200% damage. So you're stacking those multipliers really well, which is why this build does such big damage. Now this build, it just deletes trash. That's what it does. The bigger the group of trash, so that is white mobs, that is just kind of standard common enemies. You gather those up, you apply your Spirit Barrage, and they just disappear. And so the idea is that you're waiting for all of these multipliers to kind of happen at the same time before you trigger that explosion. And it works really well. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, we're also running the Ring of Emptiness here. Is an additional jewelry piece that we run in the cube. Now that one, it just gives you 300% damage when you got Locust Swarm up. And it's really easy to keep Locust Swarm up, especially with the Pestilence rune, which is just on there because it's easy. Then we're also running in the cube the Mask of Jerem. Now that deals 200% increased damage for pets. Now some people are confused as to why we run the pet stuff on this build. Now that's because our Spirit Barrage here, this little guy that's swirling around here, that's actually considered a pet by Diablo. So, and what that's doing, if you guys don't really know how this works, is when these are up there, you can have 3 of them at a time. When these are up there, they're accumulating damage, and then they apply that damage over time. Now that happens because of the barber, right? The barber, instead of dealing direct damage, your Spirit Barrage now accumulates on the target. When you stop casting it, explodes, right? So that stacking there is what we're kind of capitalizing on in this build. And the idea is that whenever we tap this over the top of the mobs, we're essentially forcing it to explode and make a new one. And we don't necessarily want to just spam it or channel it or anything. We kind of want to time them out when we're actually applying these Spirit Barrages. And then we specifically, when it hits that cold rotation, right, we're just going to be applying these Spirit Barrages, and it's going to hit that cold rotation eventually, which comes right after this, the poison rotation here. So now we got the cold rotation. Now I'd wait, and then I would start applying it pretty rapidly over the cold rotation. The idea is that I want those explosions to happen when all of my multipliers are at their max, and that's during that cold rotation. But that being said, it's not actually required to run. Like if you're going to be also proccing it outside of the cold rotation, and sometimes the mobs are just going to get deleted then too. It's pretty amazing, actually. All right, let's move on to the skills. So we were talking about the Spirit Barrage. That's our main skill. I've got it on my right click. It is the Spirit is Willing. That's the rune we're running. Now we run this one for 2 reasons. I was talking about we want to be able to better control the application of the damage. A lot of people actually prefer the the Manitou rune for solo stuff, as I do. It's really good for that, but it kind of continuously applies that damage. You still have that same sort of ability to basically just like pop the enemies or just like delete them. But it definitely seems more amplified when you're running the Spirit is Willing or one of basically anything that isn't Manitou. But yeah, Spirit is Willing is the one we run this one because we need mana from it. It helps us to get that mana each time it hits. And with our high attack speed, it's hitting a lot. So you keep mana pretty well. And that's because we're not running the Rush of Essence passive, which would refund that mana when we use Spirit Barrage. So because we're not actually applying Spirit Barrage all that rapidly, so we don't really the benefit of this falls off a little bit. And with Spirit is Willing as an option, it makes it pretty nice to run this build. You will run low on mana from time to time, but ultimately I don't find it too challenging to keep it up. Then we're going to be running Locust Swarm. Now we run this because it procs our Ring of Emptiness, gives us that big 300% damage multiplier. And I run Pestilence because it just spreads really rapidly with Pestilence. You can actually run Cloud of Insects is another good one for this, especially if you guys are having trouble staying alive. It's you have to apply it a bit more, but it still moves through the packs. It's really good, and they deal less damage, so it's damage reduction for the group. It's really good. I'd say it's actually probably better than Pestilence, but Pestilence is nice, especially if you're running something a little faster, because you're going to make sure that Locust Swarm's applied even before you get to the mobs a lot of the time. So yeah, we're running Locust Swarm there. It's a must-have for this build. Then we're running. We got Big Bad Voodoo here. Ghost Trance. Now Ghost Trance I run for if I'm having trouble staying alive for whatever reason. Maybe if the monk is a lower Paragon and might die a little bit more, might run Ghost Trance. If if you're really tanky, you're definitely going to want to switch to Slam Dance. Slam Dance is really good. Yeah, Rain Dance would also be pretty good for this build. So yeah, that would be really good too. So you could, if you're running low on mana, run Rain Dance. If you're good on mana and toughness, run Slam Dance. Otherwise, if you're a little squishy, you can run Ghost Trance here. Yeah, so any of those would be really good. But I've been running Ghost Trance. I like the additional toughness, especially for when I'm moving between the packs. You know, trying not to die when I'm not standing in the inner sanctuary from the monk. And then after that, we're gonna run Haunt, Poison, Spirit here. Now we do this for damage multiplier. This is a really good ability. It's but it just gives us flat 20% more damage on the enemies. It's really good. And it spreads, really easily too. So you just apply it here and there when you're in the pack. It's really easy to apply. And then we're running Spirit Walk Jaunt. Now Spirit Walk gives us that additional toughness from the Mundunugu set. And then Jaunt, we run that just because it gives us a little bit more time in the spirit form, which is we're invulnerable during that time. So we, it's good to keep that up as much as humanly possible. And then we're running Soul Harvest Languish. Now I run this for toughness. Again, if you are good on toughness, if maybe your content's not super high, you can swap it out for Soul to Waste and get some additional move speed that can really help with this build. Yeah, I would say that would be the only other one I would run. Languish, I think, is best in slot, but if you want to move a little faster, Soul to Waste is really good. So yeah, that covers the skills. I'll go over the rotation after this. I'll show you guys a 130 clear, and then I'll show you like a speedier build too, and kind of explain the group dynamics and the rotation and stuff like that. Help you guys figure out how to play it. Yeah, as far as our passives, we're gonna run Grave Injustice. That's just cooldown. It's must have. Confidence Ritual is great. Confidence Ritual and Swampland Attunement are both really good for this because you're always standing in the middle of hopefully a big, huge pack of mobs. So you're just, you can add a lot of damage to a lot of mobs in this radius. And then this is this Swampland Attunement is going to give you more toughness for every enemy within 20 yards. So the more the merrier, right? That's just going to boost your toughness, help you stay alive. And then we're running Gruesome Feast. Now, the reason we're running this is because there's some, on the support builds, there's typically some health globe stuff, which is really good. The monk will typically focus on health globes on their build, on all their pieces. And then so whenever they're picking up health globes, this is giving us mana and intelligence for 15 seconds up to 5 times. So you can basically just keep this up all the time as you move from pack to pack. That you pick up the globes on your way out, and you got 15 more seconds of big damage, extra big damage because you got all that extra intelligence. So yeah, it's just a little more damage. That's what we're after on this build. Let's look at the Paragons now, guys. So for this, it's pretty standard. You want to max movement speed and mana first, and then give yourself some vitality. Play with this value to see, if you're dying a little too much around elites, getting one shot a lot, add a little bit here. Otherwise, you're just going to focus on intelligence. As far as the offense stuff, attack speed, and then I would say crit, and then cooldown. For defense, you're going to do you're going to want life here. And then I'd say resist all, armor, and then life regen last. And then here you're going to want actually probably resource cost reduction, area damage, then life per hit. And gold find doesn't do you much good. This is not a gold build. So that about covers it for the build, guys. Now this, like I said, this is a group only build. It's a lot of fun. You're really going to have a good time playing it. Once you get the hang of it, it's not very hard to learn either. But yeah, here next I'll show you guys kind of how I play it. and I'll try and explain kind of my thought process on that, and give you guys some strategies for staying alive and working together as a group. So, but thanks for watching the build guide, guys. It's a lot of fun for me to make these. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, check out the Diablo fans page. I'll link it in the description below. And then also you can come and check me and Lady the Cheese out on Twitch. We're streaming a lot, guys. So come check us out. Say hey. Let us know if you like the video, if you have any questions. And really appreciate you hanging out. Here's some footage. So you're really just, you're getting in the mob, you're standing on the inner sanctuary, and you're applying your spirit barrage. Once it accumulates enough, it pops, taking out all the mobs at the same time. So communication is really the most important part, figuring out a good place to group everything up. And then once I get in a group, I apply spirit barrage a few times until I see a little chip damage apply. And then I kind of steadily keep reapplying it and proccing it over time until the cold rotation comes up like here, and just apply it fairly quickly and through the cold rotation, and then kind of continue. Now this build, it doesn't do that great unless there are a few enemies around. The reason is because all of the application to each enemy spreads that damage around to the different enemies. So if you only have one, it takes a little while to take them down. So oftentimes we'll move ahead once we've killed most of the mobs, even if there are some elites, hoping that they kind of follow along and come into the next big group of enemies. But this build does have some damage on this 125. We can even stay and fight some elites and take them down. It's not the fastest, and definitely having the satyr in to finish off the last elites stuff is really huge for speeding you up. But yeah, there's basically just kind of a rhythm. You just kind of stick with the monk wherever the monk posts up. So yeah, you have to use Spirit Walk to move around through the packs like this. And if you guys are wondering how I'm able to just kind of walk around inside of the pack, that's because I actually map force move to my scroll wheel up and down on my mouse, and that allows me to not engage the enemies when I want to just walk past them or walk through them. So if you guys are having trouble, like not able to walk through the big packs, and you haven't done that, start there. But yeah, we kind of move forward until we get a decent amount of density, and then yeah, you can see I'm just kind of waiting for the cold rotation here, and then hit the cold rotation, just right click, and everything goes away. Now timing is the key. You just got to practice the timing a little bit with everything, because what you'll find out is that if you apply it early and just wait, it'll eventually just proc itself. It'll just pop on its own. But the only thing that's if you're really just trying to maximize the damage, just try to just try not to proc or trigger your Spirit Barrage explosions on Poison Cycle, because you got a Cold Cycle coming up next. So that's actually the only timing thing that you really got to learn. And it's not too bad. If you see green down there, just hold off and then wait for it to roll around to cold, and then tap it then, because you're going to get even bigger damage. But yeah, see here, I'm holding, once I got some chip damage up, and looks like I missed the cold, so I'm just going to pop it in a physical rotation. Doesn't matter. Still deletes them. Now this is also a good map. This build really scales with the map quality. You know, we got a festering wood. It's what everybody wants. You know, it allows you to get those big, dense packs with elites in them that you can really take out quickly like that. yeah, on these spaghetti riffs, you make the most of what you get. Just kind of move to an open area. Here you can see the monk was a little behind, so I'm kind of trying to fend for myself, just dancing around a bit more, triggering my Spirit Barrage explosions a bit more to try and pop the cooldown on my Spirit Walk, so I can not take damage as much as possible until the monk got there. So yeah, you can stay alive without the monk, but it doesn't. It's hard to keep it up for very long, especially if there are elites around. So avoid elites if the monk is dead or didn't catch up or is ahead or something. So. But you can see the speed's not quite as good when the density's a little lower, like on a worse map like Spaghetti here. So, but it's still pretty good. Here we're just moving up to kind of avoid the unnecessary poison damage while we finish off these elites. Now you don't necessarily always want to finish off elites if you have a character like the Shotgun Crusader here that the Reckoning is playing. You can definitely stick around for the elites. They do a lot of high single target damage if they need to. So they can help you finish off those pesky yellows that won't die. But if, especially if it's just two-person, just a monk and a witch doctor, skipping elites is often a good idea if they aren't really low after blowing up all the trash around them, or at least kiting them along to the next trash pack. And there we go. We popped the Rift Guardian. My job is basically done. Go click the pylon to speed it up a little bit and watch the satyr do its job. I try to help, but there's not a lot of single target damage. If you get a Rift Guardian with ads, your damage is going to be a bit higher because you're going to be killing all those little ads that are popping out, say on like Hamlin. But Ember's not that bad actually, but because he does have some ads for the Witch Doctor, but it doesn't really matter when a Rift Guardian killer like Shotgun Satyr's around. All right, so that was a quick 125. Hopefully that helped you guys kind of better understand how the build works, seeing it in action like that. Next, I'll real quick show you guys Kadar Wolf, the support monks build, so you can see kind of how he's got it set up. And then I'll show you that GR130 clear that we did together, so you can see a little bit more difficult content. Played with the same build and play style. Hopefully that helps. Here's the next bit. Hey, I just wanted to show you guys a little bit of the build that the support monk was running for us in that footage. So yeah, it's running the Enos set. He's got the 4-piece bonus here coming from the Ring of Royal Grandeur, and wearing 3 of the Enos pieces. Got 2 of the Crimson pieces here, 2 of the Juliana's pieces. Running the Pig sticker and the Storm Shield, as well as the Zodiac Ring, the Strong Arm Bracers, and the Flavor of Time. Then you got the Illusory Boots in the Cube for mobility reasons, Lefabs, Soliloquy for damage reduction, and Spirit Guards as well for additional damage reduction. So that was Kadar Wolf's support monk build. Here are the skills for you guys. Hopefully that helps give you some inspiration if you're trying to team up, play with some friends. You can be kind of creative with the support stuff. So Kadar's a really good player. This is definitely a good build. Next, we got a GR 130 clear for you. All right, so here we are doing a Greater If 130. It's the same crew as in the 125, guys. We got me on the Witch Doctor here. We got Kadar Wolf on the support monk, and the Reckoning is playing our Shotgun Satyr RGK. He doubles as aggro, as you'll see here. He goes around and tries to kind of aggro the mobs around to get them to follow over to the monk to get sucked in and blown up. But yeah, occasionally it's you're really squishy in this build and without your soul harvest stacks. So you saw me die there at the beginning. It happens sometimes with this build. You're pretty squishy. You might die here and there if the elite damage is really high, or you haven't got your stacks, or you're out of Spirit Walk for a little too long, even just. But all in all, you should be able to stand in the middle when everything's up, even on these pretty high difficulty greater rifts. So yeah, we just move forward to an intersection and try and group the mobs up. And then I apply all my buffs when I get into the middle of the pack. I just kind of stand right on top of the support monk wherever he sets up. And I apply my haunt and my locust swarm, make sure everything's up there. Drop a few spirit barrages. Now, what I usually do when I get in the middle of the pack is I drop a few spirit barrages until I see a little chip damage come down on the pack, and then I hold off and I slow down my rotation and just kind of slowly keep reapplying spirit barrage to trigger little pops until my cold rotation, and then I hold off and try and trigger big ones. So here I'll chip them down. I'm holding. I'm waiting. Here comes the cold rotation. I'm going to hit hit that spirit barrage right on that cold and try and blow up the pack. Now, we had some elites left, so we decided to try and kite them down, but they got stuck in the waller there, so we came back and waited up for them to follow along to the next, hopefully, choke point or intersection or open area like this one here. Let those yellows get in here. The satyr runs off and tries to aggro some more mobs for us. You can see I'm starting to chip them. I got cold coming up. Oh, it popped right before the cold on its own. That's all right. It still killed them all, so, that's what we wanted. That elite still got a fair bit of health, so we move on. Hope he follows along. Try and move forward a bit to aggro some of those enemies. They'll come down and follow along. Oh, I got a big chip there. It was on cold, so I just popped it right away. And we're just funneling the rest of the enemies in while I've still got Spirit Barrage stacking up in the area. And I'm applying it consistently through the cold rotation and trying to make sure I stand on top of the monk. And see, there was just a little bit too much of damage overlap for me. So it just took me down. So now what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to come back to life, move out of the mob some way, pop my Spirit Walk, run back in, hit my Soul Harvest to get max stacks, and then move on to the next area, because I should have enough toughness to not get one shot anymore, especially with the monk healing. So now I'm waiting on cold. Cold comes up, hit it a couple times, delete what I can, and then we still had some aggroing down. So we just hold off and let him aggro again. We got this elite coming up. Want to see if we can take him down too. The key is not to focus fire an elite when it's by itself. Bring it along. If you can keep them coming along and it's not going to take you too much time to take them down, do it. But with this build, it's really important to just keep focusing on big groups of trash. You know, and we didn't get awesome maps right out of the gate on this one. It's you know, but these aren't bad. You're able to kind of find intersections here and build up some decent packs even on these less desirable map layouts and tile sets. And you can see it just does, the payout really isn't that great for fighting smaller mob groups like that. So yeah, you're way better off moving to a big intersection point like this and getting a halfway decent group of white mobs than staying around to finish off some of those slow to kill yellow mobs with this build in particular. You know, unless the elite gets really low and the shotgun satyr can fairly quickly take it out, it can often be a lot more efficient to just kind of continue looking for decent density of just white mobs. So you just got to make sure you keep refreshing your soul harvest, keep your stacks up. Once you got 10, you know, you can just hit it on one enemy as you're running past them, and that's often how I do it. I just when we're running in between packs, I'll just, as we're running past some one-off enemy, I'll tap soul harvest, or when we're fighting an RG or whatever, I'll run back in and tap it and then run back out, or an elite like this. We stuck around with this one because he's pretty low on health, and once the shotgun satyr's convention of elements rotation comes around, he'll pretty much just get deleted as well, as you saw there. So yeah, when you have an RGK in the group, you don't have to be quite as far ahead. If you were running without an RGK, you would need to be a lot further ahead than this, hopefully at this point, to have enough time to fight the boss. And here is just it's just a lot of damage coming from the elites, and I just got wrecked. So we decided to that was just a little too much damage in a small space for us, so we decided to move ahead. I come out, try to get my stacks up real quick, get back to it, and it's not so bad here, so we're going to try and delete some of the trash and then move on. But those blues probably really weren't worth the effort. Just waited for the cold there, took the rest of them out. Here you can see I'm just kind of fairly steadily applying more Spirit Barrage and just trying to take them out. And it's not as quick as holding off and letting it really build up. But as you can see, you don't have to, if the timing is a little much when you're first learning, like, don't worry too much about the timing. Just try to get a nice rhythm down, and you know, and then space them out, and you'll notice the damage goes up a little bit as if you let them build up a little before you reapply. And those were just bad elites, so we just went ahead and hoped for a good map, and we got one. Festering Wood. Everyone's dream. It would have been nice to get this a little earlier. We would have probably gotten we would have been a little further ahead at this point, obviously. But yeah, once you can get that good density, it's the same process. You have to be a bit more cautious on positioning on maps like this because there's more damage coming at you as well. So you can see I was getting hurt there. The Chaos Potion pulled me out of the juice for a sec. And then we just decided to kite those guys down. Oh, and I died there without the support. All right. It's nice that we have some conduit for the Rift Guardian. You know, and I'm trying to do what I can here. I'm not doing very much damage, but it's every little bit can help. So, but my haunt helps, but we're really just waiting for the Rift Guardian to build up his stacks and time everything right. Chop down Ember here. There's some big damage. And it's nice that Ember has some adds, because having those extra enemies around him helps me do a little bit more damage. Not much, but it helps a little bit. And there he goes. All right. Well, thanks again for watching, guys. Really hoped you enjoyed the video. I know this one is a little bit long. You know, I'm just trying to help people, you know, kind of get a little better Diablo, have a bit more fun playing with friends. This build's a lot of fun to play. We were really having a blast running these rifts together and testing this out. And, you know, and you can go higher if you want with it. So, you know, don't be afraid to push push up there. But yeah, it's definitely a group build. I think you guys will have a lot of fun running it. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to come and ask me on Diablo Fans or on Twitch. You know, if you want it, you can chat with us when we're live, and we'll show you some stuff on Diablo. But thanks again for watching the video, and wish you the best.